You are not imagining it. The person you were 5 years ago, before the job pressure, before the constant strain, before the sleepless months, that person had a different personality. Not different habits, different personality. And science can now explain exactly how chronic stress chemically rewired who you are. And by the end, you'll understand exactly why. Think about the last time you were under serious, ongoing stress. Not one bad day, I mean weeks or months where the pressure never fully went away. Maybe you noticed yourself snapping at people you love, losing interest in things that used to excite you, becoming more guarded, more rigid, less curious about everything. Most people just call that burnout, but what if it is actually deeper than that? What if chronic stress is not just changing how you feel day to day? What if it is changing who you are at the level of your core traits, your openness to new experiences, your warmth toward other people, your ability to stay organized and follow through? These are not moods, they are personality traits, and research shows they are all under genuine biological attack when cortisol stays elevated for too long. Let's start with the foundation. Your personality is built from 5 core traits that researchers call the Big Five: openness, conscientiousness, agreeableness, neuroticism, and extroversion. For most of your adult life, these traits stay remarkably stable. That is what makes them personality traits rather than passing moods. But here's what's actually happening in your brain when stress becomes chronic. It physically reshapes the brain structures that generate these traits in the first place. When you're under stress, your body releases cortisol. In short bursts, it's brilliant. It keeps you sharp and moving. But when cortisol stays elevated for months, the damage accumulates. Dr. Robert Sapolsky, a Stanford neuroscientist who has spent decades studying stress, found that chronically high cortisol physically shrinks the prefrontal cortex. That is the part of your brain responsible for planning, empathy, and impulse control. Your conscientiousness and agreeableness, right there, getting structurally smaller. At the same time, the amygdala, your brain's threat detection system, gets bigger and more reactive under chronic stress. So you end up with this cruel imbalance. The part of your brain that makes you thoughtful, warm, and organized shrinks. The part that makes you anxious and defensive grows. You don't just feel more on edge, you become structurally more on edge. That is not a metaphor, that is anatomy. Dr. Bruce McEwen at Rockefeller University spent his career documenting what happens when the stress response runs too long. He called it allostatic overload, the point at which your own stress system starts causing more damage than the original stressor ever could. That is point 1. The biological foundation is real and it is measurable. But point 2 is where it gets more specific, and honestly, a little more confronting. But here's what most people get wrong about stress and personality. They assume it hits everyone the same way, that stress just dials up anxiety and everything else stays put. But the research shows something far more specific and far more uncomfortable. Chronic stress is almost like a precision instrument. It targets different personality traits depending on exactly what kind of stress you're living with. Here is how it breaks down. Social stress, meaning conflict at work, rejection, and isolation, specifically targets agreeableness. Your brain starts treating unfamiliar faces as potential threats. You stop reading people as safe until proven otherwise. Workload stress attacks conscientiousness with a cruel irony. The pressure to perform actually degrades your capacity to plan and follow through. Studies suggest people under prolonged deadline pressure show measurable drops in task persistence. And unpredictability, financial chaos, unstable environments takes the biggest toll on openness. That last one is the part I find most sobering. Openness, your curiosity, your creativity, your willingness to explore and try new things, shrinks under unpredictable stress because your brain is conserving resources. It narrows its attention. It starts preferring the familiar over anything new. You didn't get boring. You didn't run out of personality. Your stressed brain is protecting you the only way it knows how. But the side effect is that life starts to feel smaller and smaller. Here's the part most people really don't want to hear. If the stress goes on long enough, these trait shifts stop being temporary. They become your new baseline. Researchers who study longitudinal personality data have found that people who experience years of chronic stress show statistically significant and lasting changes in their Big Five profiles, particularly in openness and agreeableness. This is not a bad week anymore. This is a structural shift in who you are. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is that most people going through this don't recognize it as a stress response. They just think they've changed. They assume this quieter, more guarded, less curious version of themselves is just who they are now, and so they never address the actual cortisol load driving all of it. Which brings us to what you can do, because this is where it gets genuinely hopeful. Step 1, name it. Don't shame it. If you've noticed yourself becoming more withdrawn, more irritable, less interested in things you used to love, that is not a character flaw. That is a biological response to prolonged cortisol exposure. When you understand the mechanism behind it, you stop blaming yourself for the symptoms. And that shift in framing actually matters for recovery. Self-blame keeps your threat system activated. Self-understanding starts to lower it. Step 2. Cortisol needs a physical outlet, not a meditation app, though those can help at the margins. I mean genuinely lowering your stress hormone load through consistent movement. Dr. Sapolsky's research specifically highlights exercise as one of the few interventions that can counteract the brain changes caused by chronic stress. 20 to 30 minutes of moderate cardio on most days starts to move the dial. Step 3. Rebuild the targeted traits deliberately. If openness has narrowed, expose yourself to novelty in small doses. A new route home, a documentary on something unfamiliar. If agreeableness has taken a hit, even brief positive social contact starts recalibrating your threat response. These are not feel-good suggestions. They target the exact traits that stress eroded. And here is the part of the neuroscience I keep coming back to. The same neuroplasticity that allowed chronic stress to reshape your personality can work in reverse. Studies on stress recovery show measurable increases in prefrontal cortex volume after sustained lifestyle changes over months. You are not locked in. The brain that changed under pressure can change again under better conditions. It just requires the same ingredient that stress used: time and repetition. Remember the person we talked about at the very start? The one you were before the chronic pressure set in? They are not gone, but they are not coming back on their own either. Chronic stress changed specific personality traits through specific biological mechanisms. That means recovery has to be just as specific and just as intentional. You now know which traits are most vulnerable, why they change, and what to do about it. That knowledge is not just academic, it is a map, and you get to decide what to do with it. If you found this useful, the video on how anxiety physically rewires your nervous system goes even deeper into this. It picks up exactly where we just left off. Hit subscribe if you want more of the science behind why you feel the way you feel. I put a lot into each of these.